This agent will let you talk to your files. Never search manually again. Whether you have information stored in Google Drive, Notion, wherever you may have it, upload them into the database once and chat with this bot forever. You never have to search manually again, and it will save you so much time. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. In this flow, we will create a very simple RAG chatbot in which you can take any documentation that you may have in, we'll use an example of Google Drive, put it in a vector database, and we'll use Pinecone, and then be able to chat with the information there. So imagine if you had a textbook or a bunch of data about a company or financials, or you wanted to do market research, or really anything you can think of, you can store it in there and just have a chat with the chatbot and pull any of the relevant information without ever having to open the file, look through the file, or waste time. You can just get the relevant information relatively quickly just by chatting. There are a trillion use cases. It really depends. Do you want to use it for a hobby? Do you want to use it for a business? But you'll see how quick it is to set up, and it'll just save you so much time anytime you want information. First node we will add is the edit field node. So we'll come here, manual mapping, and I'll just say file name. I have a research paper in Google Drive, and again, you can use this for books. You can load a whole bunch of books in it. You can load the Star Wars series, Harry Potter, like whatever you can think of, financial information, whatever you want. I have research papers, and I'll put a single research paper in for this example. So for this, I'll just add the link of the research paper here. The next node we will add is Google Drive, and in here we will go ahead and add download file, and you want to connect your Google Drive account. If it's not connected, we have the step-by-step process to do that in other videos. So instead of from the list, we can pull from the URL. In this example, you can do list if you choose to do so. This is just the URL from the Google Drive link. The next node we want to add is the vector database. So what we can do here is go to the Pinecone vector store, add documents to vector store. Here you want to connect your Pinecone API. If you haven't created one, you can go sign up and create one. After you create a Pinecone account, you come in, you'll come to the dashboard. You can just come to indexes here. It'll ask you if you want to create an index. So we'll go ahead and create an index. We can just call this N8N test research papers. And then we can come in here and you can go ahead and select a model. We can do to actually chat with research papers or books or histories or client documents, legal documents, policy documents, business documents, financial, whatever you have. The small is super cost effective and has more than enough horsepower to search your documents and give you answers. You just want to change the dimensions here. We can keep it serverless, AWS, and we'll go ahead and create the index. After your index is created, you want to come over here to the left side, click on API keys. You'll be able to create an API key from there and bring that over to N8N. Back in the Pinecone vector store node, the Pinecone API is now connected from the previous page. And from the list, you should be able to see the index that you created. So we just created the test research papers. You can keep the embedding batch size at 200 unless you're doing a wild amount of data, but for books, histories, financial reports, company documents, that's fine. You can just leave it as is. Next, we want to add the embedding model right here. So you can just use OpenAI's embedding model. Again, you want your API connected. You can use 3 small, more than enough to get the job done. So now we've added the embedding model. We will go ahead and add a default data loader. So for type of data, if it's not a JSON file or a text file, you just default to binary. So if you're using PDFs, images, audio files, video files, things of that nature, you can go ahead and select binary. For text splitting, since this is a PDF, we want to make this custom here. This just basically helps split the text more intelligently, so it makes it easier for the model to actually get inside of the text and pull data intelligently. So it's just you can think of it as a more refined way to organize the text in the database. We'll go ahead and add a text splitter here. We'll do a recursive text splitter. Chunk size, you can think of it just as the amount of data, how large it gets chunked in. We can do a larger chunk size here. In chunk overlap, if we just add maybe 300, there's a little bit of an overlap, so there's more continuity in the data, because previously it was chunk size 1,000 and no overlap. We might get a cleaner response here. We can go ahead and execute the workflow. All right, so if we open this up, we can see that we have our downloaded file, and you can see here in schema table JSON some contents. The paper is about artificial intelligence. The next node we want to add, if we just come out here and we just go ahead and add a quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. Question and answer chain. We can just leave this stock as is. We can add a model to this. So we can just, again, default to, you can use whatever one you want. 4.1 mini is pretty efficient on tokens. We can go ahead and add a chat node for the trigger to the question and answer. And for the retriever, we can just go ahead and do a vector store retriever. Leave it stock as is. We can go ahead and add a vector store here now, and we can do our Pinecone vector store. And again, Pinecone's connected. We should see our index show up here that we created for the research papers. We'll go ahead and add that. Finally, we just want to add the embedding model here, and we can go ahead and use OpenAI's. Accounts connected, 3 small is totally fine. And now we can chat with the vector database in Pinecone. So what did we do here? We literally took documentation files in our Google Drive. We put them in the Pinecone database. And now we have a chat function where we can go ahead and talk to the database and pull any of the information out of the files that we stored in there and get answers. So imagine if you have financial information, if you have anything, company information, histories, books, interesting articles you saved, research papers, it's really limitless. You can load it in your vector database, and now we can go ahead and talk to it. So think about all the use cases you can maybe build out for it, but personally, I like to put research papers in there, or a bunch of articles that you save that you kind of lose track of. If you just put them in a database, you can go ahead and talk to your chat model and pull out very interesting topics and fun facts, and it's really saves so much time. So we can come in here and open chat, and we can go ahead and say, please, how much energy is wasted by typing in please? For all these data centers, give me a quick summary of the research paper, including 3 fun facts. And here's the summary that we got. Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. The overview of the challenges and solutions of explainable artificial intelligence. It highlights issues such as the overwhelming number of publications, making it difficult for researchers to keep up, especially across disciplines, terminologies. The paper suggests establishing a centralized knowledge sharing platform. Interesting. I think science can do that. And 3 fun facts from the paper. Research proposed the creation of a centralized XAI platforms to combat information overload caused by the increase in research publications. Explanations in AI should ideally integrate symbolic knowledge with statistical methods to be more comprehensible to humans. I like that, more comprehensible to humans. And the third final fun fact is that gradient-based attribution techniques often fail to provide explanations beyond their input data domain, which limits their human understandability. I agree. But if we look at the whole entire flow here, and just to look what we just did, you can go ahead and put whatever you want in your Google Drive, and now we can put it in a vector database and access it with a chat. So whatever you put in your drive, you can go ahead and talk to a chat and pull information, whether it's dates, histories, you name it, and it's all at your fingertips. And it lets you really dig deep into the information that you have. So a lot of people won't go into their files in their Google Drive because there's just so much in there. But if you kind of put documentation together, you can go ahead and chat and pull out relevant information relatively quickly. So if you're at work or just in your personal life, you can really see how this can save you so much time. So I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one.